once in a morning walk, Prabhupada was, this was in America, Prabhupada was discussing the Apichet Sudarachato Bhajate Mamananya Bhak, that verse, that if one is rightly situated in devotional service, even if he falls down and commits even a heinous fall down, he's still considered saintly if he's rightly situated and carries on his devotional service. So Prabhupada was speaking about that. And then one devotee raised the point, Srila Prabhupada, you're saying that if it's an accidental fall down, then Krishna considers him saintly. But if it's premeditated, then that's a different situation. Then we're sinning in knowledge. So how do we know if the fall down is accidental? So Prabhupada, he was walking and he stopped for about 30 seconds, and then he said, if he comes back, it was accidental. That was his answer. And how I understood it was that if someone bloops and is gone and comes back 10, 15, 20 years later, if he comes back and takes up devotional service again, then Prabhupada will consider it was an accidental fall down. And to me, that just showed the ocean of compassion that Srila Prabhupada was. He had so much mercy, so much compassion, that someone would fall down, fall away completely. But if he would come back, Prabhupada would consider that all those years in Maya was simply an accidental fall down. Such a compassion. So that really hit home. I was in Mayapur in 1976, and in those days there was just two buildings. There was the temple building, and then what we called the long building. Now they have names like Shankha, Padma, Gadda, and all these, but I still know them as the long building. So Prabhupada was going through for a walk around the grounds. And in those days, when I first came there were rooms along the boundary wall, and some of the devotees stayed there because the long building hadn't been finished. And as you came towards the Prasadam hall, they had some toilets that was used by the Bengalis. So Prabhupada's on a walk, and all the senior devotees are there, Bhavananda and Jayapataka, and he comes up, and this toilet, every time I passed that toilet, it was disgusting because there was stool everywhere. It was never clean. So Prabhupada sees this, and he says, what is this? It's filthy. So then Bhavananda says, oh, this is not our toilet, Srila Prabhupada. This is the Bengali toilets they are using. So Prabhupada says, why is not clean? Why you're not cleaning? You're not cleaning because it does not disturb you. If you were in the mode of goodness, you could not tolerate this, and immediately you'd be clean. But you're in the mode of ignorance, and you're in harmony with this mode of ignorance, and that's why it stayed like this. So he immediately ordered it cleaned up. So, you know, he was explaining that if you're at the same guna, then you're in harmony with that guna. So if you're in the mode of ignorance, you come across something in the mode of ignorance, it doesn't disturb you, and it just stays like that. But if you're in the mode of goodness, then the mode of ignorance and passion, it disturbs you, and you can't tolerate that, and so you want to bring it to a higher level. So he was chastising devotees that they were in the mode of ignorance because they didn't clean up the stool. Didn't disturb them, and they left it like that. So in 1976, for the festival in Mayapur, all the devotees came first to Calcutta. And we were sitting out in the balcony at 3 Albert Road, taking breakfast prasadam. And we noticed there's 3 musicians walking along. One had a harmonium strapped over his shoulder, another one had a madanga, and the third one had kartals. They were just walking along. But they looked up and saw all the Western devotees there, so they stopped and started chanting Hare Krishna. I thought it was pretty attractive. Some devotees liked it, but others were complaining and thinking that this is not proper. They're just singing for money. They're professionals, and you know they didn't like it at all. Then all of a sudden, someone comes out of Prabhupada's room. Prabhupada was there, walks downstairs, and walks over to these musicians and gives them a rupee. So they smile, they thank him, and he leaves, and they stop and they go. So then that was a big controversy. All the devotees were saying, what happened? Why they gave money, Krishna's money, to these professional musicians? So they asked the devotee why he did that. He said, well, Prabhupada gave me a rupee and told me to give it to them. Why did he do that? I don't know. So they asked him to please find out. So he went in and asked Srila Prabhupada. He said, Srila Prabhupada, the devotees are wondering why we gave Krishna's money to these professional musicians. And Srila Prabhupada said, we've enjoyed their music, therefore we are indebted to them. We give a rupee, clear the debt. And when I told this story to one Indian Mataji devotee, she said, yes, my mother always taught us that. And thereafter, whenever I was traveling in India, you travel in the trains, a lot of times singers come by and everything. So I would always pull out a rupee and pay them because I didn't want to be indebted because I enjoyed the music. But if someone came by who didn't have any talent, I wouldn't give them anything. I didn't feel indebted because I didn't enjoy it. They were just bothering me. In 1976, that same year, Bhaktivilas Tirtha Maharaj, godbrother of Srila Prabhupada, from the Chaitanya Mat, passed away. Prabhupada heard the news when he was in Vrindavan. Several devotees were in his rooms at the time when he got the news. So then Prabhupada said, Bhaktivilas Tirtha, now he is gone. But he has gone back to Godhead. So Brahmananda was very surprised. He said, but Srila Prabhupada, how is that possible? He gave you so much trouble. He never helped you. He created that whole dispute that forced a lawsuit for 40 years in the Gaudiya Math and split up Bhaktisiddhanta's mission. How can you say that he went back to Godhead? I don't understand. And Prabhupada said, he went back to Godhead because my Guru Maharaj accepted his service. And from that I understood that if we please the Guru and he accepts our service, then even though we may not be qualified, then Krishna, because we've pleased the pure devotee, will give us that opportunity to go back home, back to Godhead. And because Bhaktivilas Tirtha, whatever good he did, that Bhaktisiddhanta accepted his service, there was also many things that were causing a great disturbance, both through the Gaudiya Math, and he didn't help Prabhupada at all when Prabhupada requested his help on many occasions. So this is a very important lesson, I thought, We really have to please the Guru and that he accepts our service. Je anilo premadana koruna prachu